Inappropriate Earl is back, number 2 on iTunes comedy at the moment. And there's very few guests who could get me to number 1. But
wow. Number 2, huh?
Number 2 right now.
Congratulations.
I don't know.
Who's number 1?
Rogan. No one's beating Rogan.
Yeah, but you're number 2, though.
That's pretty good.
That's like really good, right?
For me, it is.
Isn't that good for like everybody except for like that's number 2, right? Like there's millions of podcasts.
It's number 2 in iTunes comedy.
Okay.
Probably overall, it's I think as of yesterday, it was number 20 overall.
Wow, that's still. I mean, aren't there like 1 million podcasts?
There's probably more, but folks, you're like, who's Earl talking to? You know the voice, you love him. This guy started it all on YouTube. Was a trailblazer for all the jackass videos, all the online videos.
There was no YouTube when I started, though. It was not to interrupt, but
please.
There was no YouTube when I started. Right?
Tom Green, put your hands in there.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was pre-YouTube. I started my show doing all the guerrilla pranks and stunts on the street back in 1994. Probably like almost... 10 years before YouTube existed, 11 years before. So,
but would you say you inspired our?
I've been posting a lot of my old clips on Instagram. Just in the last few days, I kind of got back into it. Sometimes I like to go into the archives of my old pranks and videos that I shot for the Tom Green Show, and I just sort of having fun on my computer and posting them up on Instagram, and on Facebook and on Twitter. So I just posted the video where I shot in 1996. Today, actually, this morning, where I'm out on the street with casts on my arms and legs, and I'm got crutches on, and I'm falling, and people are helping me, and it's confusing everybody. And it's fun. It's fun because there is some nostalgia there because the show aired on MTV in 1999, and you've got people now seeing them again in 1-minute clips on Instagram, and it's kind of, I think it's fun for people because they remember the old show, but in a way the videos are kind of brand new again because I'm taking them and I'm kind of re-editing them for Instagram. So I'm taking a bit that was like 1 minute and 30 seconds long on the TV show or 2 minutes long. And I'm going through and I'm cutting all my favorite parts into a 1-minute Instagram clip. So it's almost like new material.
Now, what got you into wanting to make those videos? Like, did someone, like my comedy mentor was Archie Bunker.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to do comedy like that.
He didn't do guerrilla man on the street videos.
They would have been good if he did.
He hardly got off the couch, that guy.
But he was saying crazy things, but was likable.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was like, I like that style.
Yeah.
Was there someone who you looked at and go, I want to do what they're doing?
Definitely David Letterman, for sure. And a lot of the man on the street stuff came from his out on the street stuff. It was inspired by that. And skateboarding videos. So watching, Powell Peralta, Future Primitive, Animal Chin, skateboarding videos. The video style came from skateboarding videos, like the shooting style of the videos, and the comedic sort of, I was definitely trying to replicate Letterman when I was a kid. I took it to kind of a weirder place, but like I loved the talk show. Remember Late Night with David Letterman back in the 80s was the only time there was really anything really kind of weird and live on TV, live to tape, but live, There was SCTV, there was Monty Python, but David Letterman was like a guy that was like a real guy who was doing weird stuff. So that was like really exciting for me. And he would go on the street and do things like kind of like what I was doing on the TV show. So, but the skateboarding influence was get your own video camera. It's not NBC's crew. Letterman's gone out with a real TV show. Skateboarding video wasn't even a real TV show. So it was like get your own shit, your own camera, and just go make your own crazy thing. And I was kind of trying to do sort of a warped out, messed up version of Letterman. We always said the show was like David Letterman on crack, even though I don't smoke crack. But I imagine if I did smoke crack, it would be kind of like what we were doing.
Well, a lot of people are always trying to get me to smoke weed.
Yeah.
I've never had anything.
Yeah, that's cool. No alcohol?
Never had a drink.
That's cool. You're one of those guys, huh?
Well, my mom bribed me.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
I had that too. My dad told me when I was a teenager, he said, if you don't smoke a cigarette before you're 21 years old, I will give you $400. And he wrote it out on a contract, and I kept that contract. I kept it until I was 21, and I cashed it in. I didn't smoke till I was 21. I do occasionally smoke cigarettes now, which I feel ashamed of, and I plan on quitting that.
you should, Tom.
Yeah. As a cancer survivor, I probably shouldn't be smoking. But I get angry, at the fact that there's sort of rules, like, oh, you smoke, you get cancer. Well, I didn't smoke and I got cancer. So how about maybe I'll smoke then?
Right. I mean,
it's like
I know.
an FU to cancer. I got cancer without even smoking. Well, guess what? No, I am going to smoke.
But you survived.
I survived. That's true. Yeah, it's true. But it was a nightmare, regardless. So
Does that empower you to know that you beat it?
sure, yeah, it's good. If I hadn't beat it, it definitely would not be empowering. I probably wouldn't even be thinking about it.
Right.
But yeah, no, it is very empowering. Empowering. Let's see. I don't know if I don't know if empowering is the word I would normally use, but maybe it is empowering. What is it? It does give me sort of a renewed sense of gratitude, and people always say, oh, make sure you live every day, like it's your last, and and be positive and all that kind of crap. But it kind of is true a little bit, because when you've got, like, when I had my surgery, like, not the testicular surgery, they took my right testicle. I still have the left one. It's the middle one now. But they also did a lymph node dissection where they cut my body open and removed lymph nodes off the back of my spine, and they had to take my full intestines out and put them on the table and set them there for a minute and then put them back and sew me all back up. That was when I woke up from that. That was the most painful thing that for not only, I wouldn't even say for 3 or 4 days, it was like the most extreme pain that I've ever imagined even possible. Like your entire body is burning on the inside. It's like they took hollowed your body out, shoveled hot coals into your body, and then sewed you back up, and then they're just like burning in there, right? Even so, it was horrible, right? Screaming in pain for 3 days, like literally screaming, not sleeping. The worst thing. Not trying to bring the mood down here, but I'm just saying. So then after that, months go by where you're kind of feeling still in a lot of pain, but you're grateful that the pain is not as bad as it was during those 3 days. And then the next 5 years, you're in sort of mild to moderate pain, but you're grateful that the pain's not as bad as it was for the month or two after the surgery or the 3 days after the surgery. And then for the next 10 years, you're kind of in sort of a dull, sort of aching exhaustion kind of feeling, but you're just glad that you're not in as much pain as you were in those 5 years. And now I'm feeling pretty good now. Actually, the pain's pretty much gone now. After about 15 years, it finally went away.
And not to get too personal, but do you still have to take specific medicine?
No medicine, nothing. It's all gone. It's like I never had it.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, completely. Testicular cancer's completely curable thing. And, if you get it early, you got to get it early though. So if you feel like something's wrong, kids, go to the doctor right away. Because if you don't get it early, you die. I got it early. But
Did you feel a sharp pain? Was there, what was this?
It was like a dull pain in my right testicle. Dull pain. Not necessarily a lump, but the entire testicle seemed like it was a little bit bigger than it had been.
Right.
Yeah. So, and it was already pretty big. No, I'm just joking.
Oh, I bet. I've heard. I mean,
the rumors are true. No, but so
you got a big hammer.
Yeah, let's. No, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that.
I'll say it.
You can say it. You can tell everybody. Yeah.
So you don't get this kind of stuff on Letterman.
Yeah. Yeah, you might. Well, you maybe not this exact. But I love Letterman. I loved Letterman.
He was.
He was. It was the first show that I was really invited on in the United States. The first big TV show. When my show got picked up by MTV, so it was very exciting.
But that was back when MTV played videos.
Yeah, they did, but they were kind of getting out of it already. They were kind of getting out of playing music videos already. Because people always say that to me, like, oh, yeah, you were on MTV back when MTV was good. But like when I was on MTV, it was sort of like, I don't think that's the time they're referring to when it was good. Right. So I think people think that I was on MTV earlier than I was.
Like in the late 80s.
Yeah, people think I was on MTV in the 90s. I wasn't on MTV in the 90s. I was on MTV in 1999, 1 year of the 90s, the last year of the 90s. So I think people kind of like think I was on there much earlier because I know people often say, yeah, back in the day, MTV when it was good. But I was like, I don't think MTV was that good when I was on MTV because I watched the other shows that were on when I was on there. I remember we didn't have MTV in Canada. So...
What did you have, Fuse?
We have Much Music. It was called.
Oh, right.
So I came down to, I knew what MTV was. I just thought it was like Much Music. And then when we moved to New York and I was on MTV and I started watching MTV, I kind of realized that like it was not as good as Much Music, actually, at that time. They had like shows like, no offense to the people making the shows, but like Road Rules and The Real World. And I'd watch Road Rules and I'd think, like, this is like the shittiest show ever. Like, I don't know why people want to watch this show. Like, I never liked that show. It just sort of felt like a bunch of the kind of people that would have, like, been the people that I would have not liked to hang out with in high school. Like, it was like the cool kids. It was the cool kids going out to spring break to get into a competition. And I would watch that and go like, man, like, I don't relate to these cool kids, I think I was always more of a, anti sort of conformity kind of person,
Right.
And so MTV was very much like, no, let's cater this to the cool people so that the cool people will then go buy the cool music and the cool products. Much Music always seemed more like, let's play the music that people don't know about.
Right.
Like they would play like underground hip hop and, like punk rock music and music that was not being played on mainstream radio. That was always far more interesting to me.
I mean, I grew up in the prime MTV where like the metal videos.
The 80s, yeah.
Bon Jovi.
See, that was the years people liked. That was 10 years before I was on MTV.
And, I don't get the shows like The Real World. And now it's like Big Brother.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because they're so cheap to produce from the standpoint of none of those kids are getting paid that much?
I think what happened was the internet, really killed off the music videos because, we didn't have to, we couldn't watch music anywhere other than on MTV in the 80s. Like you couldn't, in America, you couldn't go on YouTube and watch music videos. So the only way to see like your favorite band
Rat
was to go on MTV and watch the heavy metal show. What was it called?
Headbangers Ball with Ricky Rackman.
See, I never saw Headbangers Ball. I didn't grow up with that. It wasn't on. We had the Power Hour on Much Music, hosted by J.D. Roberts, who's now known as John Roberts, on CBS News.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
it might be on Fox News now.
It was,
but I'll forgive him for that.
Well, I mean, that's
not to talk politics.
Oh no! I mean, are you very political? We won't talk about it, but
I am pretty political. Yeah, I'm very political, but I don't talk politics too much in my stand-up or in my I've kind of gotten over it talking about it. I'm not in the business of trying to convince people, of how they're supposed to vote. I like making people think about the world differently, but it's become so painfully, almost like formulaic how those arguments play out now,
Right.
Like, everybody knows how they're supposed to argue about healthcare or gun control or Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. Like everyone's got like their arguments all set up and all like in a line and ready to like, deliver. They watch the Fox News channel all day, or they watch CNN all day, or they watch, listen to NPR all day, and they've got their ideas and they're ready to argue. I like to like make people think about stuff that they've never even thought about before. Right. That's more interesting to me than getting up on stage and saying, I think healthcare is better in socialized, countries with socialized medicine. It's better. And then everybody goes, here's why it's not better. There's a long waiting list. And then you go, there's not a long waiting list.
Sure.
And then the argument just is the same every time. I'd rather just know that it's better in Canada with socialized medicine and not say anything, and just, we don't want everybody to know about that anyways,
Yeah, I mean, I got dropped from my insurance.
But yeah. Oh, it's the worst, man. It's the worst not having universal health care.
And I'm in perfect health. And they were like, yeah, we're going to drop you because you don't use us, basically.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so it's, I might move to Canada just to get the good health care.
Well, make sure you have health insurance, though.
But now that I'm 50, they're like, well, you're in that tough.
You got to make sure you have something, man, because I tell that to everybody. Like if I didn't have health insurance when I got cancer, it would have been $150,000 ordeal. Instead I was insured, so I was fine. I had good insurance at the time because I was on MTV and I had good health care there. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I'm scared. I mean, like I had a torn ACL and the surgery and the rehab and all that stuff was $25,000.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Thank God I had it then, but.
Yeah, you should try to figure out how to get that because, you're going to need it more soon. We're all getting old. We're all going to die. Okay, that's positive. What else? What else do you want to talk about?
I want to live forever, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a lot of fun. It's when you would come do the Webovision over on my studio in Burbank. We used to have a good time over there.
It was an honor to be a guest and guest host.
So I built my web studio in my house, doing very much a similar thing to what we're doing right now. Back about 10 years ago, I guess. A bit more than that, I did this show, and I called it Webovision. And I had cameras and I had microphones and, full TV studio in my living room. That was before we moved it out to Burbank into the warehouse. Probably did like, I don't know, thousands of shows, right?
Right.
Made so many good friends. It's where I met you. It's where I met so many of my favorite comedians because I would invite my favorite funny people over, and usually they would come and I'd get to know everybody, and I've become like great friends with, Andrew Dice Clay, who I'd never met before.
I love him.
Now we're like great buddies, and a lot of my friends that I was already friends with, but a lot of new friends too would come do the show. And but I stopped doing it because when I started touring, doing stand up again, I just kind of like would come home from doing stand up so kind of fulfilled, creatively pleased,
right,
that I didn't really feel like I needed to have the TV studio in my living room anymore. And then I also interviewed everybody that, like, I asked everybody, okay? Like every single person I asked to come do my show.
Has that, do I?
Yeah. I asked every single person that exists in the world of comedy, certainly, and probably film and television. I asked every single person that exists, and many, many, many of them said they could come do it, and they all came and did it. And then after a couple of years, I asked every single person again. And then, like, every once in a while, somebody that wasn't able to do it before would come do it, and it'd be a surprise. Like, oh, wow, that's cool. This person's come to do the show, and it was very exciting. But then after doing it for 10 years, I realized, okay, the people that are coming are people that have done the show already.
Right.
I had this like roster of, hundreds and hundreds of people who loved doing the show. And they'd come do the show, and it was this sort of, not a roster, but like a guest list of people that would come. And then I was realizing I'm asking like a lot of people to do the show every year that just keep not doing it. And then I went through a period of time where I sort of found that hilarious. Like I would be like, I think I'm going to ask, like, I'm not going to name names, but I'm going to go ask like the 10 biggest stars in
Yeah.
the world to do the show again, knowing that they're not going to do it. But I would just ask to kind of be a shit disturber. Like, like ask George Clooney if he'll do the show again. And then you'd get a response, oh, he's unavailable right now. And like once a year, I would ask again. I would ask. And then after about a few years of doing that, I started feeling like maybe I should probably not be doing that. Just asking everybody in Hollywood to come on my web show every year, knowing they're going to say no. I'm probably annoying people. So then I started feeling weird about that. Like, oh, geez, I've asked like this person, this guy, all people that I really like that I really would have loved to interview. But I've asked them 5 times now. They keep saying no. It's going to be embarrassing, when I run into them at like the Starbucks or something like that. So then I just quit doing it. I also kind of like stopped enjoying interviewing people because I realized that like when you interview people, like you don't get to talk as much, right? And back when I started it, there were no other podcasts. So like that was the only place was my outlet,
Right.
But now there's a lot of podcasts.
Too many.
Yeah. So I thought to myself, maybe this is sort of a new idea, actually. I thought like instead of doing my own podcast, although I do have a podcast.
What is it and where can people find it?
You can go to tomgreen.com and listen to my podcast. It's on iTunes too. But the difference is I don't interview anyone on my podcast anymore. I just kind of like, if I'm in a cool vintage record store with a buddy who collects records, I'll talk to him about records for a minute. Or if my mom is like, playing the ukulele, I'll talk to her for a bit. Or sometimes I'll just like rant about something myself. And I just record them on a little recording device, a little portable studio. But I don't invite people to be interviewed anymore. And what I've decided I want to do is I want to go on other people's podcasts instead. If I can get to go on other people's podcasts, that'll be my outlet. Because I do love doing radio.
Right.
Like I grew up doing radio. I started in college radio when I was a teenager. So I love talking. I love this whole thing on the microphone talking, I like your microphone, by the way. What are those nunchucks? No, what's that? A brass knuckles?
These
nunchucks.
It's the only
nunchucks.
sponsor, Tom.
Brass knuckle microphone.
These are mic knuckles made by the singer from Rat, Stephen Piercy.
Damn.
He gave me these when he came on.
That's so cool. That'd be cool for stand-up.
Yeah, they're just microphone holders.
Very intimidating. It's like, don't heckle me or I will punch you in the face with my brass knuckles.
Well, they'd probably be more intimidating if they weren't hot pink.
Yeah, that's true. It's counterintuitive.
But see, I like not talking a lot.
Yeah.
And like someone like you who's been successful in the business for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
You got a lot of stories.
I love that too. But I ran out of people to talk to. So when I was talking to like the same person again, it was weird asking the same stories again and stuff, But we did phone in on my show, so that was one thing I would do to kind of keep it, if I had the same person there again, I'd interviewed him 3 times before.
Right.
We would just fuck with the callers and stuff,
See, I like having people. I lose a lot of interviews because no one wants to come to my house because they don't know who I am. For the most part,
you got the number 2 podcast.
That helps.
Yeah.
But like
the number 2 podcast, they better damn well know who you are.
Well, now they might, but like when I would reach out to say Gene Simmons from Kiss, I'm sure he's never really gotten back to me, to be honest. But
yeah,
I'm sure he's like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
I want to go on David Letterman or Jimmy Fallon, not this guy's podcast.
Yeah,
because a lot of people don't know what a podcast is. Like people like of your fame level, his fame level.
People still don't know what a podcast is.
I asked Ron Jeremy the other night, would he come on? Because I just his history and not just porn, but the entertainment 50 years. And he just looked at me and was like, "What's a podcast?"
Really?
Yeah.
I think he might have been joking though a little bit.
Oh no, I don't. I know when someone's doing shtick with me. He was not.
Wow.
So,
well, it's amazing, I guess, some people are very media literate. Some people are living back in the 70s still,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people realize that podcasts now are the new talk shows, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, you were on the forefront of a new medium.
I think they've kind of like in some ways, like not to, be negative, but like I think the internet has ruined television in a lot of ways. In the sense that like, when I used to wait for David Letterman to come on, it was on 12:30 and you didn't know what he was going to do. And you'd tune in and you knew that everybody was going to be talking about it at school the next day. All the kids that liked Letterman, which was a lot of them, and, do you see what Letterman did last night? Did you see what Letterman did last night? And the tension that would build for Letterman himself, for the host of the show, or for Johnny Carson throughout the day as they were getting ready to do their show, because there's a huge budget and all these eyes on them, created an energy that was just like not really being replicated now in the internet, where, we know a lot of people are listening, but it's like, it is fragmented now. So it's like, you don't feel like you're part of something when you watch content on the internet as much, because you feel like, well, you're not going to be if you can share it with somebody and then talk about it. Hey, listen to this, right? But it's not like it's part of, there's not really any shows anymore, even on television, that are really kind of part of the daily fabric of our society. Like even like the big talk shows, Kimmel, Colbert, Fallon. It's not like it was back when Johnny Carson was on the air and 30 million people were watching every night. And then you'd leave the house and everybody in the stores and the schools and the work would be talking about, wow, did you see Burt Reynolds last night on Carson? And everyone was talking about it. And there was such a craft that went into it, because you had like, hundreds of producers on those shows, or dozens of producers, and they would be orchestrate, all the content in such a way on a daily basis where it was just so, artistic and beautifully put together in a way that was, I think we're just missing that now a little bit,
Well, I think there's just too much of everything. Like, I mean, I know when you when you first got on MTV, to have a stand-up special was like a big deal.
Yeah, like that's I don't want to jump on that, but it's like, there's so many stand-up specials now. It's fine. I did one a few years ago. But
where can people watch it?
I don't even know if they can watch it right now. It was for Showtime. It was on Netflix at one point. I don't think it's on there right now. It's weird. I did that special though about a year and a half after I started touring again. So I'm looking forward to doing another one, because it's been about 7 years or something like that since I shot that. So I literally starting to touring again has literally been like the probably this single greatest personal decision for myself that I've made in my adult life, to start going back and doing stand-up again. I started doing stand-up when I was 16 years old at Yuck Yucks in Ottawa. And I would go down to the club and I would watch Norm Macdonald and Harland Williams and Jeremy Hotz and comedians from Canada that were headlining comedians but had not yet made it in the United States.
Right.
And I would be, just a kid there watching. I started doing amateur night, and I did stand up there until I was about 20. I stopped doing it when I went back to school and studied broadcasting and all that. I kind of stopped doing stand up, but it was always kind of the root of what my TV show was like sort of rooted in, that idea, that kind of energy, like taking what I would do and what you would do on stage with stand up, go out on the street with a microphone and mess with people. But I probably also, one of my regrets in life, I try not to say I have huge regrets or to dwell on regrets, because that'll drive you crazy, which it has done, but now it ceases to do because I've stopped doing it. But for many years it was very crazy thinking about things that I regretted. I would say to young people out there, young meaning people in their 30s, who are probably like, if you're in your 30s, you're probably hitting that stage where maybe you're like regretting stuff that you did in your 20s.
Right.
And if in your 40s, you're probably regretting stuff that you did in your 30s. But I would say that like by 45, you got to stop regretting stuff that you did in your 30s and your 20s because like you don't got a lot of time left. Like, so just enjoy the next 20 years because that's it, you know? And I think probably the biggest thing to regret is really wasting too much time dwelling on the past. That's probably the biggest thing to regret. But I also did regret, actual regrets, that I stopped doing stand-up. I mean, if I had been doing stand-up when my show was on MTV, I mean, it would have been just ridiculous. You know, I would have been able to go out and just, you know, I would have had a lot of fun doing that, I think. But, you know, live and learn, I'm glad I got back into it again 10 years later.
I mean, was it because you got, I mean, I know you weren't necessarily an overnight success, but you kind of got famous like pretty fast. Do you lose the drive to want to do a weekend at Yuck Yucks? And
no, I mean, look, if I when my show was on MTV, I went and did one stand-up show in Florida at the university, and 19,000 people came. Okay, it was at the Gainesville, Florida basketball stadium. Right?
Wow!
And they asked me to come out and give a speech for the school, you know, talk about my cancer, and I basically wrote a stand-up set. And 19,000 people came. I got video of. I should put it up on Instagram. It's crazy. It was insane. So, you know, I just kind of think that like the show was so big on MTV at the time that if I had been doing stand-up, it would have been pretty astronomical. You know, like the sort of amount of, you know, that's the thing. But you know, I don't really think. I mean, I love doing stand-up to 500 people in a comedy club. I love doing it to 19,000 people in a stadium. You know, it's probably more fun doing it to 500 people in a comedy club
because it's a little more. I mean, 19,000 people. I would imagine outside the first 10 rows, you almost don't even see faces. Like,
yeah, and it's just like everyone's yelling and they're cheering and they're not really hearing the nuances of the material, so you can't really like get into something. It's a lot of like, you know, it's just a little more difficult to like just kind of riff, you know. You got to have probably some very solid bits that are designed to connect with people who are, you know, 200 yards away from you in the nosebleed section. So you can't just sort of do some crowd work or just start, you know, talking about, you know, some simpler things, you know. It's got to be kind of a little more high energy. I don't know. It's fun. Obviously, it was fun too doing that. But I love touring. I mean, I'm playing, you know, mostly clubs right now, and you know, I've gotten to play in every city in the country pretty much, and all over the world. I just toured. I just did Israel. I just did all of England, Scotland, Ireland. I have an Asian tour coming up in next year. I'll be in Hong Kong, Tokyo, Shanghai, Singapore. Vietnam, somewhere in Vietnam, Hanoi. No.
Where do you do comedy
Saigon.
in Vietnam?
Saigon.
Like, is there a comedy club?
Or
Or?
just out in the jungle. They just put you out in the jungle. No, I don't know. Yeah, it's like, I think it's a lot of, there's a promoter over there that brings some American acts over. And so it'll be in a club or a theater. Yeah.
And do you adjust your material? Like, I would imagine, like if I went to Vietnam or, you know, somewhere far away and did a Miami Vice joke, they'd be like, what's that? Like, do you?
Well, this is my first tour of Asia, but let's say if you put that on like England or Australia, they probably all know what Miami Vice is in England and Australia. So, but there are certain references you'll notice. The good thing is when you go over to a place like Australia or the UK and you do a tour, you know, and you've got your material and you've got your jokes, you've got your set that you're basically doing. You pretty much know the first night, oh, they don't know what Miami Vice is.
Right.
And then you just don't say the Miami Vice joke the next night, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, they don't know what the Sears catalog is in Melbourne. Okay. And you ask them, what's the department store here,
Right.
you know? And then you maybe change the reference or just don't do the joke. Yeah.
Now, what's your general writing process like? Because, you know, as someone on your fame level, you know, when I used to open up for Rob Schneider, you know, he could have said anything.
Yeah.
Like, and people were just like happy to see him, happy to see you, because people would yell out, "Hey, say you can do it." In your case, lines from Road Trip or Freddie Got Fingered. I mean,
I think that works for about the first 7 minutes. Like, you can coast off of the energy of people being excited to see you for maybe 5 to 7 minutes.
Right.
But then if you don't have jokes, then it's not good. I've never really I've always had jokes ready, but like I've seen shows of other people who are in movies and who didn't do stand-up before and started doing stand-up, and it was really exciting for the first 7 minutes, and then it sort of got a little uncomfortable,
like they run out of steam.
Yeah, and then people leave and say, "Oh, that wasn't really very good," So you want to be careful not to do that, because I actually purposely start with what I consider to be my weakest material. I used to not do that when I was sort of started touring again. I thought, I'd better start with my best material. But then you kind of go, well, then where do you go from there, right? So if you come out, you got a lot of energy, the crowd's excited, you're walking out on stage, everyone's excited that you're there, and you open with what you consider to be, just something funny, a funny anecdote about touring or about, yourself. Not your strongest, funniest, most, observational, hilarious, thing, but just something fun. You'll get a great laugh, because everyone's just excited. And then I kind of keep going, with sort of casual stuff during that first 5-7 minutes when people are having a great time. They're just excited to see you. You get big laughs with some of the sort of simpler, more subtle material. And then when you feel that energy start to dip, then I move into more sort of, cutting stuff.
Right. And like when I write, I have to have mass distractions on. I'm listening to iTunes.
When you write, yes. You asked me about how I write. Yeah.
I'll have MSNBC on just because I find them so funny with their almost utter hatred of Trump. It's kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
Do you have to be in a quiet space or?
Lately, I don't really sit down and write, like to think of ideas. I'll sit down and write to organize ideas that I've already thought of, that I've just made notes about in my phone, basically. So most of the ideas themselves come just throughout my life, and if you're out with friends and you're having some fun and you're laughing with your friends and you make a joke and everybody laughs, you think, yeah, that is kind of clever what I just said. Right. I think I'm going to write that down in my notepad on my phone. And then, once every couple of weeks, I go back and I sit down actually at a desk with my computer, and I go through the notes and I kind of type up the ones that still seem funny,
right,
when you're looking at it weeks later. And then once I have done that, and let's say I got 20 new ideas that I've typed up, then I'll probably, bounce them off a couple of buddies, see what they think, and then maybe narrow it down to 5 or 10 new ideas, and then I'll just start saying them on stage.
Right.
And then usually if they make it through that process, they're usually pretty funny by the time I say them on stage. And then so the first time you say it, it's usually I can usually tell, okay, if the joke's going to work or not. You'll get even if it doesn't get a huge laugh the first time, I can tell just by the rhythm of it and that it's connecting. And that's usually the third time I tell the joke that it actually works, like for real, like at the level you want it to be at. So the first time I tell the joke, I usually forget the punchline, actually. I literally forget the punchline. Every time, actually. I'll get up, I'll say the setup, I'll be like, remember when you were a kid, you could tell who the other kids were who were the children of alcoholics?
Right.
And then everyone will laugh at that, and then I'll forget the punchline. Because the punchline is in that particular joke, I have a punchline for that. It's kind of like a very specifically worded punchline. A lot of my punchlines, I really worry about every single word and the rhythm of the words, which is, I think, a normal thing. But I don't tend to just go up and talk about stuff that I think are weird. I actually tend to try to think of things I think are weird, write out a setup and a punchline, and write it in sort of a rhythmic pattern, you know? So if I forget that rhythmic pattern, I can't really say the punchline. So, you know, the joke is, you know, remember when you were a kid, you could tell who the other kids were, who were the children of alcoholics, based on the ones who carried their marbles to school in that purple velvet whiskey bag, right?
Right.
So, but to me, I tried like, based on the kids who carried their marbles to school in that Crown Royal bag, or in the Crown Royal whiskey bag, or the purple Crown Royal whiskey bag, or the purple Crown Royal bag, or the Crown Royal whiskey bag.
Right.
But then I've decided, or the Crown Royal velvet bag, you know. I tried it like 20 times. I've just settled on it as purple velvet whiskey bag.
Sure.
Is the way to go.
Like when you try out new jokes, do you like to, I mean, I don't see you going to an open mic per se, but like.
Well, I jump up at the store and at the Improv in town a lot. Yeah.
Do you find it hard though to do, like Rogan said, like the Comedy Store is so amazing right now that you can't do new material there? Like,
yeah, I agree with that. I try. What I do is I slip in maybe one idea amongst, but I do more new material on the road because you know it's kind of like. It is intimidating getting up on stage at the Comedy Store. You got Joe Rogan just murdered it, right? Now you got to jump up on stage. So, you know, you don't want to jump up and try new material, you know? You know, it's like Bill Burr was just on the stage.
Right.
Like, you know, Dane Cook was just on the stage. Harland Williams was just on the stage. You know, like all these amazing, incredible, you know, brilliant people are jumping up at the Comedy Store and all of a sudden you're jumping up between spots. So you go like, well, I better bring my A game here. But you know, when I like to write on the road. Actually, I even sometimes have a section of my show where I write. But usually, what I do is I just slip in new ideas between jokes.
Sure.
Yeah. And
I mean, it's very scary to be on the lineup.
I try not to do like 10 new ideas in a row.
Right.
You know? I'll do 1 or 2 new ideas. Then I'll get back to some tested material. And maybe I'll try a couple more. You know, I'm generally only really working on 1 or 2 new ideas at a time anyways, you know.
Because you already have an hour that you know works.
Yeah, I probably got like, you know, a few hours of material that I know works. You know? And I kind of like, I'm always kind of like shuffling it around and then I'm adding new stuff into that bin of stuff, you know.
Right, like if you're in Canada, you might do a hockey joke that...
Yeah, I got like a lot of Canadian jokes that work in Canada that wouldn't make any sense down here, yeah.
Yeah, and if you're in Jacksonville, you might...
Yeah.
You know, do it different.
Yeah, like when I get up, I always like I've been touring, you know, the country enough the last, you know, 10 years or so now that I've basically been back to every city. Like, you know, I'm coming back to every city now for the 4th or the 5th time. You know, so I've kind of got material about each city now. You know, like in Cleveland, I'll talk about some LeBron James stuff. You know,
right?
Because I was there when they did the trade. I was there when they did the LeBron trade. You know, and I was like, you know, so then you come back the year later and it's like you talk about how the year before they were burning LeBron James jerseys in the streets last time I was here. And then they brought him back, you know. So then you're back the next year and now they love him again. You're like, well, it's kind of hard to unburn a jersey, you know, like, right. you know, so just sometimes just talking about some local stuff really makes people feel connected with you, you know.
Now they hate him again.
Yeah, exactly. It's hilarious.
Because we have them.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
But I'm a hockey guy, so I was more excited that the Kings signed Kovalchuk, but nobody cared.
You are like such a hockey guy, huh? It's cool. I'm Canadian. Like, I grew up playing hockey. Do you play hockey?
Look at all these trophies.
Oh, yes, of course. You play hockey, yeah.
I have really hard shot.
Do you still play?
Yes, because it's, you know, this, I know.
What are those trophies?
Leading scorer trophies.
But they're all the same trophy.
They're from different seasons.
But in a league here in LA?
In Garden Grove.
Okay, because it looks like it's from a same... Because I got my hockey trophies out from when I was a kid, but they're all different because, like, different league or whatever, but...
Well, the league's low budget, so I think they just get the same trophy and give you a different name.
Damn, though, man. Nice trophies.
What's the only non-comedy thing I do?
I was cool. Yeah, it's a great thing. I had my skates and full equipment on at the Golden Knights practice facility in Las Vegas like 2 weeks ago. There's a clip on my Instagram taking a slap shot. And it was probably the first time that I'd actually been back on the ice in about 10 years. But I'm doing a comedy residency at Harrah's in Las Vegas.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I've been there for about a year now. And so once a month I'm at Harrah's. It was once a week at Bally's. Now I'm once a month at Harrah's. And the Golden Knights obviously had an amazing season last year. And, I've kind of struck up a bit of a friendship with some of the people at the Golden Knights hockey, and was down there. They lent me some equipment, and I laced up, and it was pretty cool.
I mean, their GM was probably one of my favorite players as a kid.
Yeah,
because he was a little guy.
Yeah.
By NHL standards.
Yeah,
and he would fight everybody.
Yeah, you like the fighters, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad because a lot of these guys aren't in good shape.
Yeah,
in 2018, a lot of concussion problems.
Tiger Williams yelled at me once.
Where?
Yeah, I thought he was so mad that I thought he was actually going to punch me. And we were actually playing hockey, and I was on his team. That's how much I annoyed him. And I love Tiger Williams. I mean, I loved his story, and I read his book and all that stuff. And when you're a kid growing up playing hockey, he was a legendary guy. Who was known to be the enforcer, and back when hockey was a lot different back then, and I went to Afghanistan to do stand up with the Canadian military, because Canadians are in Afghanistan, or were in Afghanistan, and we went and performed. I performed for a U.S. and Canadian and coalition forces in Kandahar, and on the Canadian plane that brought me over was also a bunch of ex-NHL hockey players, like a whole like who was there? Was it Ray Bork?
Oh my God!
Yeah, and Lanny McDonald
with a mustache.
Yeah, Lanny McDonald, and Tiger Williams, and many others. This was almost like 7 or 8 years ago, but so we played a game of pickup hockey in the middle of the base in Kandahar. In the main base, there's a big sort of central area where they have all the, big sort of, gatherings and things like that for the troops, and all the shops are there for the troops to go to. Base is huge. Base is like a big thing, It's a large base, but they have a stage there, and I did my stand-up show there, but then the next day they had a hockey rink they set out. Not ice, but
I would say,
roller, but they put boards up. They built boards, full boards, full hockey, U.S. military, right?
Right.
Like unlimited budget, call the Corps of Engineers, have them come out and build a hockey rink, so they build, it probably cost, not that much money, but it was an actual hockey rink, actual, like white boards, perfect official size, paved, smooth concrete. Yeah. And, so we could have a hockey game. And so we played hockey, and then it was some of the military guys playing the NHL guys. And I was on the NHL guys team because I was the one guy who was there who was not an NHL guy. I was the comedian, but I was there with the tour. So I played with them. But of course I suck, right? Because I'm not a professional hockey player. So and Tiger Williams was the coach. So Andy was playing. So he sends me out, go out. The thing you forget is, like, when you were a kid playing road hockey, like, you would play, you just go play. You weren't doing like a 30-second shift change,
Right.
Like, so I go out, and I've been there for 30 seconds. I haven't even done anything yet. And I guess he started yelling, green, 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 you get off, shift. I didn't know what he was yelling about, so I just kept playing. I was having fun playing. And then finally I turn, he's like red-faced and screaming at me. And I go, what's he so mad about? I go over, and he's like, you're supposed to get off the fucking ice when I call you off the fucking ice. He looked like he was going to deck me. So I was like, geez, man, chill, Tiger, But, it was cool. It was fine.
I mean, how cool is it?
People have tempers. It was cool to get yelled at by Tiger Williams for doing something like that.
That you got to play hockey in Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah. It was amazing. It was an amazing experience to be over there, and I like to support the military. My father was in the Canadian Army, He went to Vietnam and Cyprus with the United Nations when I was a kid. So he was gone on, these tours and stuff. And, it's like I lived on military bases in Canada before I lived in Ottawa when I was 7. When I was younger, 4, 5, 6 years old, we were living on different army bases. Like literally like every kid at school, their parents were in the army. You'd walk to school. There were tanks going by on the way to school. You felt like you were in a war, but like we weren't in a war because it was the 80s and we're Canada,
Right.
In the 70s, really. Growing up in the 70s on CFB Petawawa. So look that up. That's a real thing.
All right, well, that's a good time to cut the Instagram live.
All right, Instagram.
Feed.
Follow me on Instagram, Tom Green, or on Twitter at Tom Green Live, or on Facebook. Awesome.
Tom's the best. We're going to talk for a little bit more, so...
Go to iTunes to listen to the rest. Go listen to my podcast, too. It's on iTunes and TomGreen.com.
Yeah, please. Tom's one of the best. He didn't have to come down here. We're going to talk for a few more minutes just because Tom's a good guy, and you got to go to iTunes to listen to the rest.
Awesome.
Now, what I found amazing about Canada is on 9/11.
Yeah.
When there was probably still 50 planes on the air.
Yeah.
In the air.
Yeah.
Canada got them all.
Yeah.
Like I thought, wow, that's a great country to... At that time, we didn't know what was going on.
Because they were coming over from Europe. So they landed in, I think, Gander, Newfoundland. And I thought... like the furthest east.
They really are our ally.
Sure, yeah, sure. Of course we are.
I mean, to sit there and, there could have been bombs on those planes at that time. No one knew what was going on.
Sure.
So lots of love.
I think the saddest thing, not to get political, but the saddest thing for me as a Canadian about the Trump presidency and what's going on right now, maybe it's not the saddest thing, but something that bothers me is that there is this sort of subtle sort of feeling amongst this sort of Fox News channel watching demographic that like Canada's like, I think people are now like hearing about Canada for the first time and thinking there's some sort of a negative thing there. I had a guy yell out, "Justin Trudeau sucks," at one of my shows in Las Vegas.
Who's the prime minister?
Yeah. I said to the guy, "Sir, I know," because we just had the G7 summit and there was a little tiff between Trump and Trudeau and it was on Fox News. So somebody felt they should yell out, "Justin Trudeau sucks," right? And I said, "Sir, I've been living in the United States for 20 years. I've never met an American that knows the name of our prime minister, let alone thinks he sucks."
Right.
I was like proud and offended at the same time, But yeah, so it's like Canada, of course we're an ally,
I mean, I think the only Canadian, a lot of Americans know the same Justin as Bieber.
Yeah, exactly. We got Justin Bieber, we got Justin Trudeau.
So,
yeah.
Justin Williams, because I'm a hockey guy.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of Justins these days. I don't know what that's all about. Popular name. I can name all the presidents of the United States.
Starting from Washington?
Yes.
Really?
I would start there because he's the first one, but yeah. Yeah, I could name them all if you'd like me to.
As you can tell, Tom, I don't plan any questions.
Yeah.
I would love it right now if you named...
I will name all the presidents. George Washington, right?
Absolutely.
John Adams, right? Thomas Jefferson, right? James Madison, James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, one second.
Take your time.
Yeah, wait. I'm not sure why I'm mixed up here. George Washington. I got to Andrew Jackson. Now is it Millard Fillmore?
I'm going to look up the list, yes.
Shit, am I fucking this?
It's all good.
You go to the list and I'll start again.
I was on your Wikipedia page. Now I'm going to jump over.
Go to the list. I'll start again.
I'm a one-man operation.
I just got messed up there. I do know them all. I just need to take a beat and think about this. Go to the list. If I get it wrong, tell me it's wrong, and then I'll tell you the right one. Okay.
Okay, hold on.
I might need to cheat a little bit.
Take your time.
Okay, we'll start again. Okay, you got the list?
Yes.
Okay. George Washington, John Adams,
Yeah, correct.
Thomas Jefferson,
Yes.
James Madison,
Yes.
James Monroe,
Yes.
John Quincy Adams,
Yes.
Andrew Jackson.
Yes. If you get this next one, I'll be amazed.
Martin Van Buren, right?
Yes.
William Henry Harrison.
Jesus.
Yeah. John Tyler.
Yes.
Now we're into
I'm impressed.
Millard Fillmore.
No.
No. Wait, John Tyler. Wait. John Tyler. Crazy. Why am I not getting this? John Tyler. Yes. Ulysses S. Grant.
No.
Shit. Why? Wait. This is embarrassing.
No, it's not.
John Tyler.
So you're 10 in.
I haven't done this in a while, so I used to be able to do this.
I'm impressed that you got to the 10 you got to.
Yeah, wait a second, though.
There's no shame in tapping out.
John Tyler. It's not Millard Fillmore.
No.
It's not Ulysses S. Grant.
Nope.
This is shocking to me that I don't know this one. Who is the 11th president of the United States?
It's definitely a lesser known.
Yeah.
Like you never really hear this guy's
Yeah.
name mentioned. It's he was the governor of Tennessee.
Oh, okay, let's see. John Tyler. Give me 11.
Do you want the guy's name?
Yeah, give me 11, yeah.
James K. Polk.
Oh, right. And then it's Zachary Taylor. Zachary Taylor, yeah. James K. Polk, you're right. Yeah, he was... Shit, I'm embarrassed.
It's all good.
Okay, then it's James K. Polk. Then it's Zachary Taylor.
Yes.
Then it's Millard Fillmore.
Correct.
Then it's Franklin Pierce.
Yes.
Then it's James Buchanan.
Yes.
Then it's Abraham Lincoln. Then it's Andrew Johnson. Then it's Ulysses S. Grant. Then it's Rutherford B. Hayes. Then it's James Garfield. Then it's Grover Cleveland. No. Wait. What am I up to? James Garfield?
You are at number 21. Yes, you're up to Garfield. It was 20th president.
Then it's not Grover Cleveland, huh?
He's in one more.
Yeah, then it's because after that it's Grover Cleveland, Benjamin Harrison, Grover Cleveland again,
What was
and then William McKinley. But I'm missing.
What was the Dudley Moore movie? The rich guy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Arthur, was it?
Yes.
What am I missing? Who's that president? Who was
Chester A. Arthur.
Chester A. Arthur.
Come on, man.
Damn it. Chester A. Arthur. Got to refresh my memory, yeah. That's Chester A. Arthur, Grover Cleveland,
Yes.
Benjamin Harrison, Grover Cleveland again, William McKinley. Then we're up into
Number 26.
We're up to Theodore Roosevelt.
Mm-hmm.
Theodore Roosevelt.
Big fat guy.
Yeah, William Howard Taft.
Yes.
Woodrow Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Warren G. Harding. And then Calvin Coolidge.
Yes.
And then you would have yourself a
Maybe our first cross-dressing president.
Was this Franklin Delano Roosevelt? No, it's Calvin Coolidge. Is that it Hoover then?
Yes.
Yeah, Herbert Hoover. And then it's Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And then it gets easy after this. But Franklin Delano Roosevelt, then it's Truman, Harry Truman. Then you've got yourself a Dwight D. Eisenhower. And then JFK.
Yes.
And then Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford. Sometimes if I go too fast here, I mix it up. But Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan. No, Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George Bush, Barack Obama, and Hillary Clinton. Okay, I didn't get them all.
But to be a Canadian and name the U.S., I couldn't name.
I just have to refresh my memory. Chester A. Arthur threw me for a loop for some reason today, and then why was it that I didn't remember the 11th? Was who was the 11th again?
The 11th was I think Polk.
Oh yeah. That was a brain fart. I know it's James K. Polk. That was the Mexican-American War. Zachary Taylor was a big general. So was James K. Polk, I think. They were both kind of like heavy into that shit.
I'm very impressed.
I'm trying to learn my American history. And I figured that one of the best ways to do it was try to learn who all the presidents were and what they did. So I don't really know everything about all of them, but I know something about some of them. So let's put it that way.
Now, how many prime ministers has Canada had?
26.
Can you name them all? I'm not asking you to, but
I think I probably can, yeah.
Who was the one before Trudeau?
Before the current Trudeau? Before the current Trudeau was it Stephen Harper? Yeah. Stephen Harper.
Who was the one in the 80s? Because I would always see him at all the Montreal Canadian games.
Trudeau was in the 80s.
Okay.
Justin's father, Pierre Elliott Trudeau.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Who was essentially one of our great prime ministers, depending on who you ask. Obviously, it's always like that, even in Canada. He was prime minister for 14 years, Trudeau.
Right.
So, because we don't have term limits in Canada.
What do you think is better, to have term limits or to not?
I think it's better to not have them, actually, because there's only so many good people, So if everybody likes the person, why get rid of them? They probably only figure out their job by the time they've been there for 8 years anyways.
Right.
Finally, they're actually getting shit done, and then they get kicked out and get replaced by somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing.
You might say that about the White House right now.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's still a democracy, right? As soon as they're not doing a good job, people can kick them out,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not very political, but I'm fascinated by just I don't think I've ever seen this country be so divided.
Yeah.
So the midterm elections coming up, I'm just fascinated by.
I always wonder if that's true though. It's so divided right now. It's so divided, but they were during the civil rights movement, they were burning down cities and shooting people, and people were getting so many people got assassinated, right? As we know. So I mean, that was pretty divided time, right?
Oh, I mean, America's, I guess it's been divided for a while. It just seemed like even with Reagan and Bush, even Democrats didn't dig them. They tolerated them.
Yeah. In our lifetime, it's the most divided. Yeah. But, in our lifetime. Maybe it is the most divided ever, though. It's the internet, man. I blame the internet.
I blame the internet for a lot of things.
Because before, if you had an opinion about something, you could, even if it was wrong, if you said your opinion to 10 people and it was totally wrong, well, it wouldn't get any traction. But now you say your opinion that's totally wrong on the internet, there's going to be 1 million people that agree with you. So now you got 1 million people collectively angry about something that's totally wrong. But that's a lot of people,
Oh, for sure.
That would never happen before. A wrong idea would never get traction before because it just had no means of spreading,
I mean, I think the internet is the best and the worst thing to ever
Oh,
happen.
yeah. Me too, actually. Yeah.
Like, I research jokes. You can go online, look up, whatever I'm trying to joke about. Or like when you were coming on, I was like, okay, let me just look. I mean, I know a lot about you, but let me see if I can pick up some things I didn't know.
Yeah.
But then like it ruined my love of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
It broke down the wall of, oh, Kamala's not really from Uganda. He's from Philadelphia.
You thought wrestling was real before the internet. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And there were signs, like there was a wrestler when I was growing up by the name of Eddie Gilbert, and one of the matches he broke his neck, allegedly. And then the next week he was wrestling again. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. His recovery ability.
Tough guy, yeah. You got to be strong to wrestle, yeah.
And then, I thought Kamala, who was my favorite, he came to the ring in a grass skirt and with the moon on his stomach, and he would pound his stomach to communicate. And then I met him, and he spoke perfect English, and he's like, hey, I'm Jim. I'm like, I literally was like, what are you doing speaking English?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm from South Carolina. I'm like, oh, fuck. But like now you can look up, if you like pro wrestling, you could look up someone who's being billed as from parts unknown and go, oh, they're from San Diego.
Yeah.
Which is kind of ruined.
Yeah. Kind of makes it better too, though, in a way, because it's hilarious.
But then like I did a Comedy Central show called Roast Battle.
Yeah.
Where I beat Jimmy Carr, who's just very, very.
Yeah. I think I was actually there in the audience in Montreal when you did that.
I think you were.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
But I was so excited to go online and go, hey, I wonder what my fans thought. Not that I have like a ton of fans, but like the few.
Number 2 podcast on iTunes.
Well, who knows? Maybe I got a shot at Rogan now with you on.
Yeah.
Because I think people like seeing someone of your stature in the entertainment business. Like, oh my God, he's on this idiot's couch. That's pretty cool. Like they're used to seeing you on Kimmel.
It's a nice couch.
It's a nicer couch than you'll find on any late night talk show.
This is a nice couch. It's a giant couch.
I've had it for 21 years.
Wow, really? It definitely is a very. I bet you it looks like it does all sorts of stuff too.
That folds. If you're tired, I can fold that out into the bed.
No, it looks like it could. I don't need to lie down, but yeah.
But like with the internet and movies, like I myself haven't been to a movie theater. I think the last movie I saw was in 2015, the Star Wars movie.
Oh, your TV's the size of a movie screen.
Why leave home?
And you got a couch that turns into a recliner. You don't need to go to a movie theater.
But do you think that hurts movies actually getting made to be put in theaters, like with Netflix and Hulu and like?
I think so. Yeah. I also think that I'll speak for myself, but I'm on Instagram a lot. I love watching cats tumbling downstairs and chasing cats playing with dogs and all that crap that you go, this how stupid is it that we're watching cat videos. But I was watching some video this morning, I was just scrolling through, they all come up. I'm spend 10 minutes watching some kids wrestling a boa constrictor off of their dog in Central America, South America somewhere. And then a honey badger taking on a lion. I didn't know that honey badgers would take on a lion. The most fearless animal, the honey badger. I didn't know that. I wouldn't learn that at the movie theater. But you spend so much time on your phone looking at stuff that by the time you set it down, do you really want to go to a movie and look at more stuff? And then you got to sit in the movie theater, and then you can't look at your phone for an hour and a half because you're in the movie theater. So, I think it's just you only have a certain amount of screen time that your brain really needs. And because we're on our screens so much now, people don't want to go to the movies as much. And the other thing that happened was before, when it was TV and movies, 20 years ago, TV was shot on video, and video looked shitty back then. It wasn't high def. It was all pixelated. It was shitty. But then you go to the movie, and the movie was shot in film. So it looked really clear and good quality and amazing. And huge budgets and all that. And the effects are so much cheaper now. So the TV shows and the YouTube videos, they have the same effects as in the Jerry Bruckheimer blockbuster. A YouTube video can have a big explosion in it. So it's kind of like they've all kind of merged into the same kind of content, and there's so much of it, and we're watching it so much. Seems like there's a little bit less special about going to a movie theater now, which is unfortunate because it was fun going to the movie theater, but that's the only thing I think that really is doing well now in the movies are these giant blockbusters.
But they're starting to almost lose their, like The Rock's last few movies haven't quite done as well as his first few. And
yeah, people are just kind of like overwhelmed. So much media. You see so much stuff all day. Do you really need to go see another, flickering image?
But I do miss, like you said, the fun of I have so many childhood memories of I remember in 1987, I saw Predator.
Yeah.
And it was just I'll never forget. It was in Westwood, and
it's possible just because we're getting older too. Like things lose their luster when you've done things a lot. It's less exciting. So maybe kids still love going to the movies. I don't know.
I think it's just they've grown up, like you say, with smartphones where they can look up their. You can watch porn on a smartphone.
Yeah. Why do we have to go sit in a room with other people to watch a movie?
And that's why I even in our world of stand-up, which is why the Comedy Store is still so amazing to me because it's packed every night. People are getting lazy and, why leave your home, pay $20 to park, whatever it is to get in, where you can just turn on Joe Rogan's special on Netflix.
Yeah. The thing is, I almost don't even want to do another special. Because I don't really think stand-up really plays on television. It's good if you understand what you're watching. It's funny. I get it. It's funny. If you watch a great stand-up comedian special, it's funny, but it's way funnier being in the crowd, feeling the energy of the crowd, feeling the laughs all around you. Seeing the person right there, the nervousness of what if they talk to me, that's what stand-up comedy is all about. I think it's good because all these specials are actually probably going to add more people's interest in stand-up comedy. But I just hope that doesn't happen because people aren't really experiencing stand-up comedy when you watch it on TV. You got to go sit in a club and be part of it,
Well, I tell people that seeing stand-up live versus TV is like watching hockey. Hockey on TV's, it's okay.
Yeah.
You can somewhat feel the excitement, but you see that same game live and it's like, wow.
Yeah. It's not like being there. I don't know. I just, I can watch maybe about 10 minutes of a comedy special. Anybody's the best comedy special right now, and I'll watch 10 minutes of it and then okay.
Because you want to do it.
Yeah.
I would imagine. It's hard for me to watch stand up because I want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch
I see what this is. Sometimes I like to check them out, see what people are doing and stuff, but I can't really watch an hour of it myself, I can watch an hour of it in a club, though. I'd love to watch it, or in a theater. I'd love to watch it live,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I just, it's hard for me to watch something that I want to do.
I also the thing that's sort of weird to me lately is when you watch stand-up, it's weird. It's you start to realize, man, there's not really that much to talk about, is there? Because if you watch 5 comedy specials, everybody's talking about the same shit. And then it's different punchlines, obviously, different take on things. But it's I'll be watching, and I'll go, oh, he's talking about rotary dial phones. I already have a bit about rotary dial phones. We're both about the same age. Probably both thought of talking about rotary dial phones. Can I not talk about rotary dial phones anymore because another person's talking about rotary dial phones? Or he's talking about Instagram, oh shit. It's sort of a similar take on Instagram. And then you start realizing, man, there's only really probably 10 things to talk about,
Yeah.
Sex, relationships, porn, Instagram, cell phones, and
politics,
and growing up in the 70s or something. That's all there is to talk about in the whole world. There's nothing else to talk about other than that.
Yeah. I mean, it's all
maybe there's a bit more. I just find it irritating, though, when I watch stand-up, because inevitably you're going to see someone doing a premise that's similar to a premise you're doing. Because the other thing is there's only most people in the audience. You get too obscure, and then nobody's connected with you anymore. You got to talk about stuff that people care about, and people only care about a certain amount of things. So I try not to watch too much stand-up, actually, because I find it annoying, because I'll see somebody talking about something that I'm talking about, and then I feel like I can't talk about it anymore. So if I just don't watch it, then I don't have to worry about it.
See, I'm trying to find that happy medium, because I'm very much in agreement with you. Like, there's only so much you can talk about that you're not going to talk about, that Rogan's not going to talk about. So I try and bridge the gap of maybe talking about an obscure metal band that nobody's going to know.
Yeah.
But they'll laugh at my enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Of the subject. No one's doing a joke about Rat in 2018.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty much, but me.
Yeah. Or
not a lot of hockey jokes out there.
Yeah, you're cornering the rat joke market.
Well, but
you might end up getting a whole bunch of aging, hairband fans coming out to your shows, right?
Well, it's I do, because they're like, this guy's going to do a Vinnie Vincent joke, who was an obscure guitar player in Kiss, who's now a lot of people think is transitioning into a woman.
Yeah, this is the thing I love about doing stand-up, though, is because when I tour playing comedy clubs, like, and I don't know if everyone knows this, but when I play in a comedy club, like, you're playing to your own fans. I'm playing to my own fans, but I'm also playing to people that just like that comedy club.
Right.
So you get like a mixture of people there. I'll have people in the audience that don't know every line from Freddie Got Fingered, So you kind of it's kind of a nice challenge to talk about like stuff that is appealing to everyone. So you sort of have to walk that balance between like, okay, I want to talk about something that everybody relates to, but I also don't want to, I also want the show to be weird, and I want to, talk about something that nobody else is talking about. It's a hard balance to find sometimes. I think that's the biggest challenge for me in stand-up. The thing I like to challenge myself with the most is trying to be as unique and original and obscure and strange as possible, while still connecting with everybody.
Right, with the people who saw Road Trip, Freddie Got Fingered.
Yeah, and the people that don't even know that stuff. By the middle-aged couple that came out to see some comedy and have some drinks with their friends, or the office Christmas party that came out to see the show at Hilarities in Cleveland. And they're not your the biggest. They don't maybe even know who I am. I love the challenge of making normal people laugh, real people laugh. So, yeah.
All right. Well, Tom, I'm humbled and honored to have you on this show.
I appreciate being here. Number 2 podcast in the world. It's an honor for me to be here. Thank you very much, man.
Well,
always good seeing you, man.
But where are you? I know you got some tour dates coming up. Where can the fans, and I really beg of you guys, Tom did not ask me to say this, but he didn't have to come here. He's got a lot of things he could do. He took the time out of his schedule to come. I want you to take the time out of your schedule to see Tom at...
Thanks. I'm at the Tempe Improv this weekend. Then I'm in Las Vegas at Harrah's Casino. I've got dates coming up in Boston. I'm at Vinnie Brand's. I'm at the Stress Factory. I'm at Governor's. I'm up in Rhode Island. I'm in Burlington, Vermont, Toronto, Buffalo, New York, all coming up this year. Also Kalamazoo, Michigan, and Muskegon. I'm hitting all the spots. Go to tomgreen.com and get my tour dates, and I'll see you soon.
And listen to his podcast.
Yeah, tomgreen.com. You can listen to the podcast, get the tour dates.
And one last question for you.
Yeah.
Because I'm fascinated by 10 years ago, I don't think anyone would have seen Netflix taking over.
Yeah.
The entertainment medium.
Yeah.
Movie stars now doing TV shows like your Road Trip castmate is now in Lethal Weapon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sean William Scott. Yeah.
Which, where do you see the business in 10 years? Is there something out there that some kid is developing right now in his basement?
Artificial intelligence, man. The show will probably happen like inside your brain or something, I think it'll be more interactive too. And I think there's going to be a lot more like potentially more interactivity, audience participation, but artificial intelligence.
Like maybe a TV show where at the end, like say the last 5 minutes, you can pick the ending from 4 endings.
No, I'm thinking more like at the end of the show, like a hologram of the character crawls out of your TV and makes you lunch.
That could happen.
He literally walks into the kitchen and your fridge, and he's standing there, but then the fridge makes you lunch, and then he's like standing there. It looks like he's making lunch, but the fridge is a fridge that can make lunch, and then he stands in front of Sean William Scott walks out of the Lethal Weapon TV, walks into the kitchen and says, "Hey, what would you like for lunch?" And then you say, "I'd like some spaghetti and meatballs." And then he makes it for you, and it's on your counter. That's in 10 years from now.
That's not that far-fetched.
Yeah, I believe it.
I mean, I saw a concert called Dio's Disciples where it was some of the members, older members of Ronnie James Dio's actual band.
Yeah.
With the hologram of Dio.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about it. Hologram walks out of the TV. The TV calls Grubhub, orders you spaghetti and meatballs. And then Sean William Scott, who just walked out of the Lethal Weapon thing, stands around in your living room with you for a minute, waiting for Grubhub to show up. When the doorbell rings, the hologram walks up to the door. I guess you got to open the door. Maybe the door's on an automatic hinge,
It's 10 years from now.
So he sees the hand. The door opens. He electronically pays the Grubhub guy, who's probably a hologram of Sylvester Stallone, by the way. And you're sitting around eating with all your favorite movie stars.
Well, maybe one day I'm going to hologram you to make me spaghetti and meatballs.
Yeah, that's my prediction for the future right there.
Tom Green's the best. You're already fans of him, but support his comedy, his podcast. Tom Green is a good dude in this business. There's not many of his success level who are good dudes, believe me. So become fans of his. Inappropriate Earl, SoundCloud, and iTunes. We'll see you next week with another guest. Probably not quite as good as Tom.
No, it'll be awesome. It's always awesome. Number 2 on iTunes, man. Thanks, man.